Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties, Chapter 8.
The text opens with this very somber verse, Dian Jiangchen. It basically laments how heroes and valuable things like great horses often just aren't recognized for what they are.
And it warns that when a hero falls on hard times, people will, laugh at him and slander him.
Exactly. That sets the stage perfectly for Xu Bao's predicament.
Okay, so paint the picture for us. Where is Xu Bao? What's happening?
Yeah. He's stuck. He's staying at an inn in Luzhu, run by this character Wang Xiao, who's, let's just say he's not the most charitable host.
And Xu Bao is completely broke. The text says, "Nang to Qiong," his bags are empty.
Utterly empty. He's waiting desperately for his friend Fan to show up. Fan's supposed to be bringing money from Zizou, his travel expenses, basically.
But the innkeeper, Wang Xiao, he's run out of patience. He wants his money.
Yeah, but instead of confronting Xu Bao directly, which might be, a bit risky given Xu Bao is a renowned warrior, he gets clever. Or rather, devious.
How so?
He hires two local guys, described as minor officials, sort of low-level government errand boys. The text calls them smooth-talking, artful fellows.
Perfect for a bit of psychological pressure, not direct confrontation.
Precisely. It's pure manipulation.
So how do they approach him? What's their angle?
Well, first, they pretend they're there to help Xu Bao, to sort of apologize to the innkeeper. They say Wang Xiao is usually loyal and honest, but he's just under financial stress himself.
Trying to soften him up first. Lull him into a false sense of security.
Exactly, butter him up. But, bam, they switch gears.
Okay, what's the attack?
First, they subtly undermine him using, regional stereotypes. They imply that Xu Bao, because he's from Shandong, is naturally renexing to duo, impulsive, maybe a bit reckless.
Discrediting the person, not just the debt. Smart in a nasty way.
Then they hit him with the fear tactic. They pose this horrible hypothetical question.
Which is?
What if your friend Fan just doesn't show up? What if it takes a whole year? Are you just going to sit here waiting for a year?
Oof. That's designed to create panic, make him feel helpless.
And isolated. They twist it further, saying his unpaid bill is going to ruin the innkeeper's business. They use this metaphor. Guests are like tigers dwelling in the mountains.
Right.
Meaning if word gets out that someone skipped on a bill or couldn't pay, fear will spread. No one will want to stay there. The inn will go under.
So they're making his personal problems seem like a public crisis he's causing. It's intense pressure.
Absolutely. It's designed to shame him, to corner him completely, and it works. The text says Xu Bao felt like he was suddenly waking up, realizing he'd been tricked into this humiliating spot.
And he gives in.
He does. He accepts their advice to Ziji Wuban, essentially, to take action himself, figure something out. He decides he can't wait for Fan anymore.
So what's his plan? His only remaining option?
He decides to sell his weapons, his two gold-plated maces, his symbols of status, of his warrior identity.
Okay, so he's going to sell them to pay the innkeeper.
But here's where Wang Xiao shows his true colors. The moment he hears Xu Bao plans to sell the maces, the text says he's overcome by Kuba Dinzen, this sudden wicked greed.
Greed. But selling them gets him paid, right?
Yes, but Wang Xiao thinks he can get more. He actually stops Xu Bao from just selling them outright.
Why? What's his scheme?
He tells Xu Bao to pawn them instead, at the local Longbao pawn shop. He frames it like he's doing Xu Bao a favor, pay the bill and get some walking around money.
But that's not his real motive.
Not even close. His actual plan is sinister. He fully expects Xu Bao won't be able to redeem the maces before the deadline expires.
And then
Wang Xiao can claim them. He plans to scrape off the remaining gold, plating the Liu Jin to make jewelry for his wife, and then melt down the copper body for profit. He wants it all.
Wow. That's cold. But wait, were these maces actually solid gold? I thought they were heirlooms.
They are heirlooms. Huge symbolic weight. Passed down 3 generations, from his grandfather Qinju to his father Qinyu, now to him.
But materially.
That's the tragic part. They were Shutong Lujin gilded copper, not solid gold. And over years of presumably battlefield use, most of the gold had worn off. Only traces remained in the grooves.
So Xu Bao's sacrificing this massive piece of family history, and Wang Xiao just sees scrap metal value, basically.
Pretty much. And there's this poignant little detail in the text. Because the maces had been stored poorly at the inn, maybe on damp straw, they developed Tongking verdigris, that green copper patina or rust.
Oh, so they looked even worse for wear.
Right. Xu Bao actually has to take some rough straw-rang cow and rub them down vigorously just to make them shine a bit before taking them to be pawned.
Trying to make them look presentable, valuable. God, that's heartbreaking.
It really is. It shows his desperation, trying to salvage some dignity for these symbols of his heritage.
So he heads off to the Long Mao pawn shop in Sanyafang. Mace is hopefully looking a bit better.
Ready for the next round of humiliation.
And it starts immediately, doesn't it? The pawnbroker isn't exactly welcoming.
No. The owner sees these huge weapons coming in, and his first reaction is hostile. "Don't break my counter," he snaps.
He just sees them as cumbersome, dangerous objects, not heirlooms.
Exactly. He has zero sense of history or symbolism. He dismisses them instantly as fei tong scrap copper, useless except to be melted down.
He even demands the iron handles be removed, right? Because they just turn to ash or something.
Yeah, he only cares about the pure copper weight. He's stripping them down to their absolute base material value.
Let's talk about that value, the actual numbers. Because it's brutal. How heavy were these things?
The pair weighed 128 jin caddies. That's around 150, 160 pounds. A serious amount of metal.
Wow. All right.
And Xu Bao, trying to be reasonable, maybe even generous in his desperation, offers to just call it an even 120 jin, knocking off the extra 8 jin.
Okay, 120 pounds of copper. What's the offer?
Devastatingly low. The pawnbroker says that in Luzhu, good copper only fetches 4 fen per jin.
Which means?
The grand total offered for these two massive, historically significant weapons, 120 jin of metal, is a measly 5 liang minus 2 keen.
Which is basically nothing. Pennies.
Absolutely. Xu Bao realizes immediately it's not even enough to get him home to Shandong, let alone cover his debts and travel with any dignity.
So the pawning fails. He doesn't take the offer.
No, he walks away. And the text gives us his thought, his realization. The world is full of flesh eyes, who can distinguish rare treasures.
Flesh eyes, meaning people only see the surface, the immediate profit. They can't see the deeper value, the history, the heroism.
Exactly. The cynical, materialistic view misses the real worth. His symbolic heritage is deemed worthless by the market, but he still owes the innkeeper.
And Wang Xiao isn't done with him. He sees Xu Bao return, mace is still in hand.
And immediately pivots to the next target. He starts pressuring Xu Bao to sell the last thing of value he has.
His horse. The yellow steed, Huang Viama.
Yes. This moves from symbolic loss to functional loss. Wang Xiao is practical. He knows Luzhu is dry, inland territory. Horses are needed for transport. They have real market value there.
So the horse represents Xu Bao's mobility, his last chance to actually leave, to escape this situation.
It does, and what's truly heartbreaking is how the horse's condition mirrors Xu Bao's own decline.
How so?
The text calls the horse a comely shenju, a 1,000-mile divine mount, basically a superb steed. But since Xu Bao ran out of money and this whole conflict started, the horse has been neglected, starved by the innkeeper.
Oh, no.
It's described as emaciated, skin and bones, but with a bloated belly from poor feed and long, shaggy hair. It's suffering just like its master.
Is there anyone showing any kindness in this whole story?
Just one small glimmer. The innkeeper's wife. Apparently, she felt sorry for the animal and would secretly give it bundles of proper long hay when her husband wasn't looking.
A tiny bit of compassion in a sea of cruelty.
Pretty much. So Xu Bao finally agrees. He has no choice. He tries to lead the horse out to the market very early in the morning at the 5th watch.
And the horse.
The horse knows. The text calls it a siling chabrolje, a spiritual or sentient animal. It understands it's being taken to be sold.
And it resists.
It plants its front hooves firmly on the threshold of the inn door, digs them in, and refuses to budge. It doesn't want to leave its master.
Wow. That's incredibly moving. What does Xu Bao do?
This highlights Xu Bao's character. The text explicitly says he has immense strength, enough to, quote, drag out a tiger. But he can't bring himself to use that force on his loyal, suffering horse. His compassion holds him back.
He won't hurt the animal, even in this desperate moment.
Exactly. Which unfortunately gives Wang Xiao his opening for the final act of cruelty.
What does he do?
The cruel-hearted innkeeper grabs a menchuan, a heavy wooden bar used to lock the door, and just brutally strikes the horse hard on its hind legs 2 or 3 times.
Forcing it out through pain.
Forces it to leap forward out of the doorway. And then, adding insult to injury, Wang Xiao slams the inn door shut behind them.
Locking him out.
Essentially. And yells after him, "If you can't sell it, don't come back." Xu Bao is now truly exiled, stripped bare.
In the sources we have, they captured this moment of intense vulnerability, just perfectly. You really see how fast reputation, fortune, it can all just vanish.
Yeah, almost overnight.
Exactly. And the big question is, what does a hero actually look like when he's, well, brought down to the level of a beggar? The market's reaction here tells us pretty much everything about how quickly real value gets ignored when your status is gone.
Is that the core lesson right there, then?
Yeah.
That status isn't really intrinsic, it's just transactional until you can prove it again.
That's a great way to put it. Shu Bao is still the hero inside. The horse is still this incredible war machine, but the world. They only see them through this filter of poverty. So they're invisible, or worse, targets for ridicule.
So Shu Bao somehow manages to drag himself and this magnificent but, clearly starving animal to the West Camp horse market. But instead of getting interest from serious buyers,
He is mockery. Absolute mockery.
people are actually shouting at him, pointing.
Yeah, telling him to get out of the way, that he's just a poor man leading a sick horse. He walks around the market circuit again and again, and there's just silence, no bids. Nobody even asks about the horse.
Wow. And the sources say he turns to the horse and thinks they're both just completely dejected or downcast.
Exactly. And this is where the text gives us this piece of kind of cultural wisdom. It steps back from just Shu Bao's situation and explains the bigger dynamic of perception. We get this saying, a person when poor speaks in a low voice. A thin horse with long hair doesn't look fat.
Oof. So your appearance completely dictates your authority, your value.
Completely. If you look poor, your voice doesn't carry weight. And your animal, no matter how good, is automatically seen as worthless.
This is a pretty brutal economic lesson.
It is. And they use this really big comparison to hammer it home. They say, a well-fed cat is stronger than a tiger. A parrot with damaged feathers is worse than a chicken.
So the rich basically have no patience for anything that looks broken or needs work.
Precisely. They won't buy a project horse. It's like wealthy investors today maybe not wanting a fixer-upper. They want something turnkey, something that proves its value immediately, the second the horse looks like it needs effort.
It's beneath them.
Right. They're buying the image of success, not necessarily the potential. And that image is shattered even further by Shu Bao's own physical state. He's been running on empty since 5 in the morning, apparently, just walking around in a daze, totally exhausted, hungry, defeated.
So the sources really link that physical hardship directly to how he's perceived, like it's a moral failing or something.
It's a vicious cycle, isn't it? He's exhausted because he's poor, but the exhaustion makes him look even less valuable. And actually, that sheer exhaustion leads to this crucial mistake, which, funny enough, breaks the cycle.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, the narrative shifts because of this blunder born of desperation. The horse, starving, spots these green stalks, autumn greens, apparently that an old farmer is carrying, and it just lunges, violently knocking the poor guy right over.
Oh, wow. Shu Bao must have been mortified.
He snaps out of his daze, rushes to help. But the farmer, interestingly, is described as old but strong. He's unharmed. And here's the critical part. His immediate focus isn't his fall or his scattered stuff. It's the horse's control.
He sees something others missed.
Immediately. He notices the rein handling is still good, Shrink Hoyer. He recognizes quality training despite the horse's terrible condition.
So this elder is the real deal. The connoisseur.
Exactly. And he gives Shu Bao the advice he desperately needed. Buy gold must go to the gold connoisseur. He basically asks him, why are you trying to sell this amazing, albeit sick, horse to these rich kids who only want something flashy and ready to ride? You're wasting your time here.
So the market value isn't objective quality. It's just about the buyer's immediate shallow needs.
That seems to be the lesson, yeah. It's a tough one.
So what does the elder suggest?
He offers to guide him, for a pretty fair broker fee, actually, just one tael of silver, and he gives him a specific referral. Go 15 little west to a place called Zhuang, the Two Worthies Village. It's owned by Shan Johnson.
Shan Johnson, that name sounds important.
Very. He's famous, a hero himself, known specifically for befriending other heroes, and crucially, known for gifting exceptional horses to his friends.
And Shu Bao's reaction?
It's like waking up from a dream, or maybe a drunken stupor, as the text implies. He suddenly realizes he completely forgot, or neglected, to seek out this famous host. He regrets waiting until he's absolutely desperate. It's that classic idiom, right? Digging a well when you're already thirsty.
Oh man, so he feels ashamed of his condition.
Deeply. He laments his ragged clothes and haggard face. He feels he's in no state to appear before a potential peer, a fellow hero. But he decides to go anyway. He tells himself, though, This is purely business, just selling the horse. He's not going to try and claim friendship or hospitality now.
Okay, so the elder leads him there. What's Erxian Zhuang like?
It sounds impressive. The description is all winding streams, ancient trees, high mansions. Clearly a place of significant wealth and status. A totally different world from the dusty, judgmental horse market.
Quite the contrast.
Definitely. But before they even approach the main buildings, Xu Bao has this really powerful, emotional moment. He stops. He tries to groom the horse, this neglected companion, one last time, trying to make it look a bit more presentable.
And the horse?
The horse reacts. It turns its head, snorts, starts kicking its hooves. And the text says tears roll down its eyes, like it knows what's happening.
Yeah. That's heartbreaking.
It really is. Xu Bao is just overwhelmed with guilt. He actually speaks to the horse, telling it that he, Xu Bao, is worse than the horse because he has the heart to sell his loyal servant.
Setting quite the emotional stage for meeting the buyer.
Absolutely. And then Shan Xianxin appears. He makes quite an entrance, described as towering, like a Zhang Tao, imposing like a spirit official. He's wearing fine clothes, expensive silks. The contrast with Xu Bao couldn't be starker.
Does he acknowledge Xu Bao first?
Nope. Shan Xianxin's expertise is immediate. He bypasses Xu Bao completely, goes straight to the horse. This is the difference, right? The market saw beggars nag. Xianxin sees the potential champion. He ignores Xu Bao, lifts his sleeve, presses on the horse's waist, testing its bone structure, apparently, and then measures it carefully.
So he knows his stuff.
Clearly. Over 10 feet long, 8 feet high, the text says. And he doesn't just see a generic horse. He identifies it immediately. A Huang Biao, a yellow piebald, with hair like golden threads. He sees past the neglect and gives it this poetic title, 1,000-Mile Dragon Colt. This guy isn't just some dealer. He's a true expert, recognizing incredible quality.
Okay, so he recognizes the horse's value. Does the negotiation reflect that?
Not at first, no. It starts pretty cold. Yongxin initially treats Xu Bao dismissively, uses familiar language like he's talking down to a common horse trader, not an equal. Xu Bao asks for 50 taels.
Which seems reasonable for a dragon colt.
You'd think. But Jiangxin instantly lowballs him, offers just 30 taels, calls it mere travel money, basically dismissing the horse's current state, saying it's worthless without fine feed and a lot of work. He's downplaying the value he clearly sees.
Playing hardball. So does he just take it or?
Well, Xiongxin seems like he wants to be sure. Or maybe just solidify his bargaining position. He decides to run a little test on the horse's spirit, its resilience. Before finalizing anything, he orders his servants. Take this horse to the stable, feed it Qiliao, the good stuff, the fine feed. He wants to see what's really under the hood, so to speak.
The stress test. See if the engine still runs.
Exactly. And the results are pretty dramatic. The servant comes back, reports quietly to Jiangxin. This horse, it's fierce. Despite being starved just moments before, it apparently bit the ear of Jiangxin's own prized rouge horse. And it devoured a whole dew like a bushel of steamed green beans. And even after that, it was still furiously eating watergrass, couldn't get enough.
Okay, so that proves it. The horse is phenomenal. The power, the spirit, it's all there. Didn't need weeks to recover. It's just kicked back to life instantly.
Absolutely. The value is undeniable now. But Yongxin, he's a shrewd guy. The text says he's secretly delighted, but outwardly. Poker face. He sticks to his low offer. 30 taels. The silver is brought out.
And Xu Bao must be ecstatic, right? Finally.
Overwhelmed. But the description of his joy is interesting. It's not about profit. It's pure relief, the joy of survival. The text says it's the joy of finally having the money to get home to his sick mother. It's life-saving relief, described as being equal to Jiangxin's own joy in getting this amazing horse.
So it's about freedom, return, not just cash.
Exactly. He rushes forward to take the silver. But then, Jiangxin pauses. Just before handing it over, he asks a simple question. Brother, he says, you're from Shandong, but which prefecture?
Oh, why does he ask that?
Xu Biao answers, Guizhou, Shandong.
Guizhou?
And right there, that's the twist. The name clearly means something significant to Jiangxin. Upon hearing Guizhou, the home of the famous hero Xu Bao, Jiangxin does something completely unexpected. He sweeps the silver, all 30 taels, back into his own sleeve. He doesn't hand it over. The deal just freezes.
No, right at the last second.
Right at the point of exchange. The sources leave us right there, with Xu Bao's shocked thought running through his head.
Yippee.
Something like golden money reaching the hand, fears becoming nothing, total cliffhanger.
Wow.